So today was the first day of the 114th Congress. Yay! So it is official today. We are the masters of the universe. Because the Senate opened today too, right? Or was it just the House?
Nope, the Senate too.
Senate too? So 114th Congress is in session, and the Republicans are in control of both houses, and it's pretty freaking awesome. And we've got a bigger lead than we've had in, 100 years or something? I mean, I don't really pay that much attention to all the stats of this stuff, but I see comments back and forth that in the election the Democrats are defeated to an extent they haven't been since the turn of the last century or something ridiculous. It's a pretty major majority that we have at this point. And so, lest we feel good about ourselves, the one thing that what we have to do as Republicans, instead of just having a good time and having a party on the opening day of Kick Butt Congress 114, we had to have the election for the Speaker of the House, and that had to become an opportunity for us to decide to hate each other. In other words, it was an opportunity for John Boehner to get reelected Speaker of the House, which was always going to happen because there wasn't, as Felicia said in her brilliant article today, there wasn't a plan for victory for anyone else. There was a plan. John Boehner had a plan for how he was going to win and be reelected Speaker of the House. Nobody else had a plan for how they were going to defeat the incumbent, the very powerful, very experienced, very shrewd incumbent, John Boehner. There wasn't one guy who had a big overarching, definitely going to be successful plan, or even a justification for his victory or his being able to be the Speaker of the House. And so when there isn't a plan for victory or a reason for victory, there isn't victory. John Boehner was always going to win re-election, and he did. And there are an awful lot of people today who are expressing their anger and expressing their disappointment, and it's kind of difficult to just look past it because I want to argue with them. But by the same token, I understand their disappointment and I understand their frustration because John Boehner is not the world's greatest Speaker of the House.
I think people were expecting too much out of Boehner. On the other hand, don't get me wrong, I actually wanted the other guy. I wanted Gomer, today. But I don't think it's the end of the world. I think a great message has been sent. 25 votes against. That's the most in nearly 100 years. I think if people, look, Boehner isn't going to want to go through this in every 2 years. If people think Boehner is going to be the same pushover he's been for the last few years, they are going to be very, very surprised. I think he's going to pick apart Obamacare. I really do. I think he's going to pick it apart. I think he is going to do kind of what I'm hoping he'll do, and that is put the president in the position of wielding a very unpopular veto pen and using that to campaign for 2016 for the right. I really, I think that the rebellion against Boehner has succeeded. I think it's going to bear great fruit.
Let's go back a couple of episodes of the Refinery when we were also talking about the Keynesian model being crushed. The very fact that we had sequester handled the way it was, and the House was the only brakes on the Obama administration or anything else, and the Senate wouldn't pass anything that the House had out there. It's amazing what the House has done. Even as bad as you find Boehner's leadership, it's amazing what they've been able to do and hold the line on. Now, nobody got near what we wanted to. And again, we're playing with a stacked deck against us. And we all know that public relations is not the forte, not the strong suit of leadership in Congress, and it needs to become so. And they need to be better about who they send out to do what messaging, and we've all talked about that. But given where we are, you definitely have to say that Boehner has managed to hold the ground and fire back at the president in some ways. It's not been a complete surrender, a complete give up at all. I don't think it's fair to say that at all.
No, and remember how much legislation the House presented to the Senate where it was immediately stopped in its tracks by Harry Reid. I mean, just
And
talk
Boehner's
about.
already said he's going to be reintroducing all of that stuff. Boehner's not as bad as the rap that he gets. He's not as good as he thinks he is, but he's somewhere in the middle. Wow. Sort of like pretty much everything is.
I just wish that people on our side, look, don't divide. Don't decide to stay home. And here's why I say this. We just got to 54 seats in the Senate. Folks, I've already taken a look at vulnerable seats in 2016 and 2018. I wrote an article on this a couple weeks ago. I expect us to pick up 4 seats even if we don't handle things that well. If we simply unite on our side, in 2018 we're going to hit 60 seats. If we simply unite, it's there for the taking. All we have to do is unite. That's if we don't even like each other.
Yeah, and the thing that's driving me nuts is everybody says, I'm going to leave, I'm going to stay home, and then that leaves those of us who are left to do even more work.
It keeps playing in my head that we have to hold together.
Well, and also this has been something we were just talking about this before the show, but this is something that's been going on for a very long time. We've talked in the past about how the Tea Party movement is very new. It's only been since 2009, and look at all that they've accomplished in that time. But it's like we just expect instant gratification. Yeah, we won an election, and now we expect them to do everything that we want. It's not going to happen that way for 2 reasons. First of all, it's a process. You have to take things back one step at a time, even though we would prefer to just leap forward. And secondly, the general population is not on board with most of what we believe, and until we change their opinions on things, change their hearts and minds, we're not going to be able to really change Congress or the government or anything.
And we're not enjoying the time doing it. Take each thing piece by piece, give the public time to understand each thing that we advance and win. Don't try to flood it with a fire hose. The public isn't going to absorb that in. We don't have the media, academia, and entertainment industry broadcasting it for us. We have to do it piece by piece, but if we do, it's going to work. And the reason is they believe in controlling people's lives, and when you believe in controlling people's lives, you devalue them. People become less important. Your agenda becomes more important than people. You don't mind if people have to get erased for your agenda. Now, do all leftists go to that extreme? Of course not. Okay? But the left itself is a cauldron.